and I'm delighted to have with me Bill Phelan, who's the CEO and founder of BrightHub. And for those of you that aren't familiar with BrightHub, they are out of Troy, New York. They were founded in 2006, and they're a very, very fast-growing social commerce community that provides information for today's knowledgeable consumer. They're a leading site for how-to and problem-solving solutions, and it's growing between 15% and 20% a month. When I call Bill on, understand that he brings more than 20 years of operational, technical, and financial experience at BrightHub. He's an accomplished entrepreneur and leader, having led several ventures through the startup years and successfully managed them through significant acquisitions by large public companies. He spearheaded the creation of BrightHub's vision and positioning and established the business model, driving the next generation of social commerce networking. So what we did back in June was promoted a webinar called Content Marketing is a Must. So Bill, I want to get started with talking a little bit about BrightHub. So why don't we have you tell the folks a little bit about your background of BrightHub, what you guys do?
Certainly. To give you a snapshot, BrightHub is a reference site, and we help our readers find solutions to problems that they're looking for, and so they can solve their problems, get the benefit of product reviews as well as product reviews from a writer community that now exceeds 1,100 different writers and voices in our community. We currently serve 2.1 million readers on a monthly basis, and as Mike mentioned, we grow between 15 and 20% per month.
So, Bill, what were some and are some of your business challenges?
Even when we're at the size, we've been able to achieve quite a bit of success in a relatively short amount of time. But even at 2.1 million visitors, it still is a challenge for us to get above the noise and to be able to describe to advertisers and, more importantly, to potential content partners how we differentiate ourselves from the pack, particularly in an audience where media buyers are simply used to buying a number of impressions at Y price. So we've employed the webinar approach to distinguish ourselves from the pack, and it's been working very well for us.
So that was your motivation for wanting to do a webinar, was to get out, differentiate yourself. So tell us some of the results of late. I know it's been a couple months, but I know we're kind of excited about it, and I'd like you to share that with our audience about what you were able to accomplish.
I'd say the approach has worked very well. I'd say that the community that attended the webinar, the light started going on for them. They could see how working with us in creative ways would enable them to differentiate. And we had a total of 175 people sign up for our webinar. We had 75 of those actually attend. And we currently are working our way through the leads that were generated, and five different companies. We are currently in a testing phase with 5 of them to test results and to see if we are able to drive traffic for them. And the interesting part is that they are names we know we never could have reached had we simply been picking up the phone and trying to contact them directly.
Great. And can you tell us, looking back at the webinar, what were some of the best practices that you either developed or learned or used?
A couple things we learned, I think that are actually pretty important. Number one, make sure that the webinar itself is a valuable teaching tool, and that it's designed so that the attendees can learn something regardless of whether you ever do business. I think it's incredibly important that the value exchange for having a person participate in the line is one that is fair, and I think that above all, I think is incredibly important. So that's a big one. The other one that we're very convinced about is I would make sure that if I'm going down the path of producing a webinar, I would have an independent producer that is completely focused on that business. And the analogy I think about around this is that in our own business, we are passionate and focused on doing one thing really well. We achieve great results for readers primarily because we are able to dominate our space in natural or organic search. But if someone came to us today and said, could you also run a pay-per-click campaign for us? The answer we would have is you should talk to someone who is really focused on that space. And I'd bring in somebody even if I were looking to do it, someone that is completely zeroed in and focused on it. I think that holds even more so the case here. This is really producing, it's just like producing a TV show in a lot of ways. And I would make sure that I would focus on people that, and producers, if you will, that do this for a living and completely understand the space and are zeroed in on it.
Thanks. Well, I think that's a good segue for the next question. In addition to some of the best practices and lessons learned, what tips for getting started in exploring to see whether or not a webinar is right for someone would you advise?
One way or something I'd suggest is I'd be talking to some of my existing customers, and I would start to understand a little bit more about what problems are they having today. So in other words, in your vertical, understanding what problems your vertical that you serve is having today and how you can provide value to that vertical, just incredibly important, because that's going to serve as the basis for the subject matter that ultimately you're counting on people to attend because they see a void, they have a problem, it's a common problem, and they'll grace you with their attendance, if you will, if you're helping them solve one of those major problems.
Terrific. And let's see about one other thing. Let's talk to us about what some of your future plans are for doing a webinar or with the actual one you've done.
In addition to the one that we're going to that we're working through the lead base right now, we're actually getting ready to do another one. And in this case, because we operate heavily in the certainly in the technology space, Microsoft is about to do a major product release. I think we've all probably heard about it, called Windows 7, and we're focusing on all of the software firms and hardware firms that count on Microsoft's leadership to come out with a platform because they are all prepared with their own product upgrades, et cetera, that will work on Windows 7. So being able to help all the software providers, OEMs, hardware folks, et cetera, who are counting on that through readiness and marketing is something we're zeroing in on, and that's where we can help. We can certainly help quite a few of them. So we're targeting that specifically right now. But
I think if I could summarize the results and the experience that you were able to achieve, brand awareness by promoting the BrightHub brand, you were able to put your thought leadership out there, not only from the BrightHub portion, but the case study you had and the thought leader we had on there, and you got sales leads out of it. So we're delighted to hear that and looking forward to continuing working with you.